Welcome back, everybody, to Florida West Coast Fishing Report. Captain Sergio, Captain Mike. We're
Good evening,
on
everybody.
The air, live. Tampa, Crystal River, Wesley Chapel. We're on, man.
How's it been this week for you?
Well, I can tell you how it's been today. It was hot, miserable. We were trying to film on the beaver tail. We got a few mango snapper. We lost a few mango snapper. And I can tell you the best catch of the day, we had tons of the most beautiful meow meows you want to see. We have had in the last 8 months or 10 months, I don't know what's happening, Mike. I'm talking to all these other captains. There's catfish where you never saw catfish, and where you used to catch one, you're catching 10. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's actually I was talking to Captain Stacy up there in St. Mark's, and it seems to be the same thing up there. It just there's all of a sudden catfish, and it's kind of weird that they're coming about even here in Crystal River. Places where we normally catch redfish, snook, or everything else, there's catfish involved. And I just guessing the heat of the ocean out there right now has just got everything kind of stirred up. And of course, catfish love that warm water. So I think that's what drawing them in.
The water temperature today in the bay was 88.89, 90.
Bathwater.
It wasn't like 92, 93, 94.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the water was, I guess, all this rain. I went to one trout spot that's always loaded with trout. You can see the grass, beautiful, because the water flushes pretty good. You couldn't see the bottom. 3 feet of water, you couldn't see the bottom.
Wow.
Everywhere we went, even one spot that usually is crystal clear, it was real tannicky, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's with all this rain, we've had a couple of storms come through today. Even with all this rain, the water is starting to really get muddier and muddier a little farther south, and usually where we have clear water. But you eventually get to the clear water, but around the river, all this rain runoff is really gotten this water churned up, almost chocolate milk type stuff in certain places. So that's summertime pattern.
But I've never seen this many catfish in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, and I talked to a lot of the captains today at the boat ramp, and in fact, to be honest with you, I was supposed to go out with one captain. He's really, really good in Tampa Bay Wednesday to film with the beaver tail. And well, two things. Looking at the weather forecast, 70% chance of rain.
Yeah.
And that beaver tail, you got no place to hide. You got no T-top. And all that camera equipment, what do you do with it, right?
Yeah.
And then he told me, he says, Sergio, he says, I can give it a shot, but he said, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather pick another time later on when it cools down, because right now the fishing is just so bad that
it is.
He says, I got a place we can take ladyfish and try to get bull sharks. He said, that's the best you can do right now. I said, nah, we don't want to do that right now. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I said, it's when it gets this hot, you might have a couple hours in the morning time in the flats or, low water getting a few fish. But most of the time we're just heading out to the rocks, trying to find some grunts, mangrove snappers, stuff like that. Just to find a little cooler water, going to the spoil banks and trying to find that deeper water for some fish that are a little more, they're just kind of hunkered down in the cooler water. About 6 feet, 8 feet down.
It's a good time to go out in the Gulf.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to pick your days.
That's right, because then you got all these stupid bad weathers coming in.
Yeah, we've had a couple storms come through today that really whipped that wind up quite strong. And if you were offshore, I'm sure you got a beating. So, yeah, you got to pay attention to it. I said this system kind of went across Florida, and now it's coming back. So we're going to be inundated this week with a little bit of nasty weather for a little bit. I think just pop-up showers here and there. A couple of them were strong this morning. Didn't hit me here. I'm about 20 minutes away from Crystal River, but Crystal River got hammered this morning. Pretty good.
Where we were at, it was pretty all day. And we stayed out later just trying to see if we get the bite going. Then finally we saw the rain, but we really never got any rain around Gandy. And that's Jessica. But
No.
what happened to Jessica? Didn't send a fishing report. I thought she was going to
I
send.
don't know.
I don't know.
Hadn't heard from
Jessica, what happened? You never sent a fishing report in.
See on there?
I guess Roger Bird loved that new, I guess it's a tattoo that Jess got. Is that what that means? TAT?
Yeah, tap.
Okay, I guess
you got
that's what it
something new.
means,
Yeah.
The only tattoos I got is scars.
Well, it's the new it's a new
there you
thing
go.
for
Yeah.
it's everybody has tattoos now.
Yeah, redfish tailing. Now, I guess I don't know. I'm just not quite into that yet. No fishing. I was at ICAST with my sponsors Wednesday through Friday, and then I stayed in Orlando for 2 days. Okay, she's got a good excuse. She was
Oh, I
goofing
see.
off last
Yeah.
week.
So yeah, you were at IceCast this week, weren't you?
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Jessica, but I started going to ICAST when it was in Las Vegas. That's when it was getting started, and it was pretty good. It wasn't real big, but it was really good. Then it got bigger and bigger. Then they moved it to Orlando. But since COVID, it never came back, like it used to be. And then, of course, I think Pure Fishing pulled out of it this year. They didn't go in, and Pure Fishing was one of their they took a lot of booth space. But if you went to ICAST, I mean, before COVID, it was wall to wall, fishing stuff everywhere. And then after ICAST, it was only like half of what it was. Then they made it grow a little bigger. But you go now, they had all these big seating areas for you to eat lunch and all these new lunch places. In other words, and then on one side, it's an L shape, that hall. The L part of the smaller part of it that goes towards the back, I would say 20% of that was closed off. They had a curtain. Then they put all these food vendors there. And then they had another big area to sit and eat. And they had like 4 of these in ICAST. So I would say that booth space has probably been cut down by 40%.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't been there never been there before, you can say, well, but hey, it looked more like when they got started back when I was going to it in Vegas.
Wow.
And what's happening too is they make a big deal about it's only supposed to be buyers and media and people, some people that they bring in that are pro staffers or something. But when I go through there and I saw a bunch of little kids running around and stuff, I'm saying I thought this was a business thing.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that part.
A little different this year.
So I don't know, but I did pick up 4 or 5 people that have some really good ideas that I think a couple of them are going to come on board as advertisers. I really like their idea. And one guy had, for people who have T-tops that have the Sombrella tops, like I remember on my Schaefer one time, one of my real good clients was always smoking. And he put his cigarette up to say something, and he burned a hole in my T-top. and what do you do? Well, this guy came up with Sombrella material, and he put some special adhesive and stuff on it. And all you got to do is you put it where the cut or the hole is, and then you actually put an iron on it from that side.
Oh.
And it's identical because almost everybody uses Sombrella. So
Right.
if you're black or blue or whatever T-top, it'll match it. You don't even know that it's there. I was looking at it. What a good job you can do with it. And
Wow.
hey, for $10 or $15, $20, it's better than spending $500 or $600 to replace the top.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Those things get expensive after a while. If you got to keep replacing it for little holes or this or that, be able to repair it real quick.
but the guy that I had on, the D-hooker guy, the captain, and he's also an
I,
ER
s-
doctor.
I saw a lot of videos of that where people were putting those hooks right in their arms. Just
Yeah. Yeah,
put them in your
he
arms and
had
pull
the
them out.
alcohol swab, and he swab your arm, and he stick a hook in your arm, and then he pull it out to show you that you only need a little tiny hole. I said, I ain't doing that crap. Hey, practice on somebody else. I see what you did. That's fine,
Yeah,
but not on my arm.
yeah, I saw quite a number of videos of that. I guess it was just a thing to do, to just poke yourself with a hook on purpose. It's never fun when it happens out there on the water, but yeah, it looked like a pretty easy way to get those hooks out a lot faster.
I mean, it works.
Without
I got
without
one in
having
each
to.
boat, because I tell you what, it makes it real easy to take the hook out, and it doesn't tear your skin up or anything else,
Yeah,
Look at that. And
and
Roger said, yeah, the de-hooker was cool. It is. It's a real good item. And then there was another company, the Angler Company. They had, years ago, there was a local company in Tampa making bean bags for offshore fishing, and the best fish de-hooker I had ever seen. It was a solid aluminum handle, stainless steel, bar, and it came in 12, 15, and 18 inches according to the size of your boat, size of the fish, if you got a bigger boat. And that company went out of business years ago. And this company, Angler Company, man, they had those de-hookers. Oh, it was perfect. I mean, and they had about 8 or 10 items, little items that you don't see anymore, that were well made, that were worth the money, So
yeah,
I'm going to follow up with the guy.
seen anything new or innovative there at the show?
There was some stuff that it was real gimmicky stuff,
Yeah.
that I mean, the people are hopped. Hey, the guy who invented it are all hopped up on it. And then there's a lot of companies there that they got the idea, they got like a patent, but now they were there trying to get somebody to want to buy it, and manufacture it.
Gotcha.
And
So more of a Shark Tank type thing.
Yeah. And I don't know about Jessica, but I did see a lot more Chinese and Korean booths this year than I've seen in a few years.
Really?
There's one area that's pretty heavy Chinese and Korean, and basically all they did was they didn't have distributors or anything. They were looking for somebody to carry their line and sell it in the States.
Oh, wow.
So they were there, trying to find leads, for that.
Yeah.
Place called Coastal Keys at
Key fob.
boat, and it works.
Yeah. Key fob for your boat. I mean, why not? Everything else is key fob nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I got it. I mean, my Yamahas, they always have key fobs on them.
Yeah. Push
don't
start.
Use the key anymore.
Which I'll probably end up doing that myself. Eventually, just kind of key fob it and push start, and it's a little easier. You're getting used to that innovation. If they could put it on the boats, then hey, why not?
Yeah. Well, you know what? One of the biggest problems over the years is the key. You stick it in there, and the keys start to get rusty. Now, no more keys. As long as you got the key fob, you just hit the button like you do in your car or whatever.
Yeah. And I do I forget whose boat it was, but they got a push start on their boat, but instead of on top of the console, so that if they're out doing charters or anything else like that, they're not mistakenly a client hitting the start button or anything else like that. They've actually have it underneath the console, so you have to reach underneath to hit the start button.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is kind of a neat little safety feature to prevent anything from starting up when you don't need it to.
That's why is it that so far most of the companies that I've been working with, for the power pole trolling motor that you hang around your neck to control, they all put it inside the console, and of course it charges itself when it's on the little bracket.
Right.
Man, first thing, the thing is hard to snap on and snap off.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, on the Skeeter, you had to reach way in there to grab it inside the console. On my Beaver Tail, they did the same thing. You got to drop the door down to get to it, to take it out and put it back in. And and the way it is, you don't just snap it in real easy, which is good because it won't fall off.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's just hard to pull it off the bracket and put it back on the bracket.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a few more innovations that need to kind of show up in the boating world. Even at the Tampa Boat Show, looking at some of those boats, there were some neat features here and there, but nothing as far as, starting or key fob to automatically start your boat, or just any of those little innovations that you wish you had or would like to have on your boat, from that you usually use on a regular basis for your vehicle. And it's like the steering knob. I mean, on a boat, it's great. Love that steering knob. They need to have more
Cars used
cars
to be a
with
knuckle
that.
buster. But now the one I look forward to is IBEC. You heard of that one?
No, I haven't heard that one.
IBEX. IBEC is the ICAST of the marine industry. And it's always held at the convention center here in Tampa. When you
Oh,
go to IBEC, Yamaha's there with like their big motor with a cutaway and a
mhm.
bunch of the other motors and all the gadgets that go with it. Suzuki's there, Mercury's there, Honda's there. So, and I mean, they got, 50 by 50 square foot, 100 by 100 square foot area that all these things are in. Fusion is there, JBL is there, all the stereo people, anybody that, and IBEC, where ICAST is for the buyers in the fishing that owns all these stores, IBEC is geared towards the OEM of the marine market. All the boat builders go there to see what's the newest, the greatest stuff for boats that they can put into their new boats that they're building.
So when is that this year?
That's going to be in September. It's always in September.
Okay,
And I might
that'd
be
be interesting to
able to
go
get
there.
you a ticket to get in. I'll see.
Yeah, that'd be quite interesting to go there to see what they've innovated, what's coming up on the market soon.
Like for example, Shadowcaster, one of my sponsors, LED Lighting, they're not going to ICAST anymore, but
Oh,
they're going to be they're expanding their booth at IBEC.
yeah.
You know,
Huh. Interesting.
and I mean,
So,
you just get to see stuff. I talked to the Fusion guy last time and the JBL guy, and they show you all the new stereo systems and the new little things that came out with. There was a guy there that had the seats that they were using in a lot of the Coast Guard and military high-speed chase boats that are like springs that you strap yourself in, and no matter how hard you come down, they're like shock absorbers.
oh,
And
now there you go. That'd be great for offshore.
yeah,
Have that little shock absorber.
so I mean, those are the people that are there, and then you got a few that, I had one guy one time, the nicest people in the world. What it was just like a tube, and there was like an LED light at the bottom, and when you put the tube into the bracket, the tube would light up because it reflected the LED light on the bottom.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was all gun ho on it. He got a patent on it, and he was trying to see how he could sell it,
Yeah.
But it's just nice because you get to see. Plus, if you're in the outboards, you get to see everything, man. You get to see the newest Yamaha, the newest Mercury, and they'll have a big. I remember was it the 425? They had a cutaway of it. I mean, just gorgeous, and you could see how
Yeah.
everything ran. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Nice.
And then, one thing, and so Jessica saw it. One of the newest things that ICAST was, PowerPole came out with a stainless steel prop for the trolling motor.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
But I tell you, if you look at the prop on my PowerPole trolling motor, it is thick. It's not like a Minn Kota's. I mean, this
Right.
thing is thick, about
Yeah.
5 times thicker than a Minn Kota prop. I don't think I can damage that. And if I did, I want it to break before it damages the
Yeah, that's my question, because I did see that, and my question is, especially here, we've got a very, very hard bottom. I mean, how is that going to, relate to hard bottom hitting that uh, blade on limestone or oyster beds or something like that? I mean, how
Well,
is that going to put? You can understand the blade will probably survive a little bit, but is that going to put more damage to the internal on those
and that's
motors?
what I'm thinking. I think the plastic is forgiving,
Hmm.
like an aluminum prop on a boat. I think that stainless steel is for the bass fishermen, the guys that aren't worried about rocks where they're at,
Yeah.
like Tampa Bay, for example. But I don't know if there's that much of an advantage. And I don't know what the price is, but I can guarantee you it ain't going to be cheap.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Nothing stainless steel is. Just look at the props that we put on our boats. I mean, we do stainless steel basically because it doesn't really give you that bend. Because if you hit aluminum out there on the rocks or something, you're going to bend it up pretty easily. It takes a little bit extra power to bend those stainless, but to even get them repaired costs us $200-300 a pop every time. So, and insurance, you're not going to do that on an insurance claim or anything else. So that's just out of pocket money. So I'm just wondering, is that going to happen out there as well? Because, I've got plastic blades for my trolling motor, and I've got an extra on the boat all the time in case I hit something, it breaks or whatever. I just swap it out real
It's
quick.
cheaper for a blade to
And it's
break
definitely cheaper. So
than tear up your shaft or bend it,
mhm.
But Christopher Ye wants to know how's the bait up here. It says bait in Sarasota was dying today. Where I was at, I had no problem. I had plenty of live bait. But again, the few fish that I caught today were caught on cut bait because I didn't see any action on the live. But my bait stayed alive. I can't complain.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think I had a conversation with another friend of mine here. We have the pinfish traps that we use here, and you can go put a pinfish trap out within an hour. It's completely slap full. It doesn't take long to get you pinfish, but you can take that whole pinfish trap and get 100 to 200 pinfish and throw it in your live well, drive over to your spot where you're going to fish, and you open it up and you've got a bunch of them floating. The first thing, obviously, at least to my knowledge, when you've got those pinfish traps, there's a charge that happens with that water flow going through there. It's metal. It's kind of a reason why you have those anodized pieces on your boat to keep it from deteriorating the metal. It chews out that metal first. If you don't have a pinfish trap that has that, it's going to produce a little shock. So what happens, you pick your pinfish trap up and you pour them into the live well. They get shocked for a second because they're charged. They get into a negative and it kind of shocks them just for a second. And they'll kind of come back to life and be just fine. But if you got that hotter weather, that's a double dose of shock. You've got the oxygen level that drops almost immediately when they get all there and start to breathe. And then, the shock of coming out of a positive charge area to a negative charged area. And so you're kind of shocking them twice to a certain degree. So what we've learned is you get that pinfish trap, put you just enough in there to where it's not completely crowded, and keeps that oxygen level to where you have some of those survive. So instead of the full pinfish trap, we put half the trap in there and just put the trap down. If we need more bait, we'll go get it again. But it seems if you put a whole bunch of bait in the live wells or bait buckets or whatever with this warm weather, the oxygen just gets starved out real quick because you're pulling in your boat or anywhere else. You're pulling that oxygen level from the surface. You're not pulling it from down below. So it tends to drop that oxygen level pretty quick when you dump a whole bunch of baits in hot water. But we've kind
I
of
had the bubbler running today too because I got the big bubbler.
Yeah, if you got a bubbler, then that's going to definitely help increase that oxygen level. But we've just learned to take a little less bait than we normally would in cooler months, and it seems to work for us pretty well. But again, like you said, live bait really isn't doing it. It seems to be the dead baits, other than you get some white bait for a snook or something like that. But most of the dead baits, cut pinfish or ladyfish or mullet, seem to be what's working more than just live bait.
So I'm and like today when I got to the boat ramp, I asked a bunch of captains because I said I can't believe that's all we did, and they all had, one guy got into a little batch of small trout. He said little tiny trout, but most everybody said, Sergio, don't feel bad. We didn't do good at all.
No.
Everybody had a slow day.
Yeah. Some days are like that. That's the fun part of being a charter captain. You get good days, you get bad days, and hopefully you can make the bad days at least something out of it. But everybody's going to have them.
Well, listen, and how's your boat coming along?
It's still being worked on, so it's just a waiting game at this point. But yeah, it's just one of those things. You're just kind of in limbo until it's all complete, and when it is, I'll be just ecstatic and get back out on the water again because it's been a chore. But I'll get there. It'll happen.
Oh yeah, hey, it's better that it happens this time of the year when things are slow.
It is a little slow
for you. You got scallops that would keep you real.
Yeah, I could be scalloping right now. Although, the weird thing is we have a really good year, but there's not as many influx of people here going for scallops. For charter captains, people are busy, but it's not like, taking 2-3 tours out a day at times. You might get one here or there, but I think most everybody, if they're going with friends or on their own boats, because it just doesn't seem to be a big thing this year. And again, maybe just because we've had bad years in the past, I don't know, but it's so far we're third week into July, and we're still getting limits of scallops out there. So it's a real good year.
Yeah, that's all I heard from everybody. And I've seen a lot of pictures on Facebook. I mean, everybody getting their limit pretty quick. So
yeah, it's not taking too long to do it. And in fact, I've seen boats all the way toward Homosassa and past Homosassa River, which in the past it's basically only been in one area, which is just north of Homosassa, where everybody was going for scallops. But it seems to be really spread out from Gomez Point all the way past Homosassa River. People are finding them, no problem.
Curiosity, what happens to all those scallops after the season? I mean, are they gone? Do they go back into deep water or what?
Exactly. Well, I mean, for the most part, it's at the end of their life cycle for the most of them. So there's a lot of them, you'll still find some small ones in, late September here and there, and they'll, progress for another couple months until it gets cool. But they're just there. It's kind of like the spawn of the salmon and all that up north. They come up, they spawn, they do their thing, and then they die. So, and it's all the ones that spawned, they're for next year's crop. So, yeah, they don't really hang around. They don't live very long. So it's just one of those things that just keeps recycling itself. And some years you have good, some years you have bad. But so far, this has been a good year. And even reports all the way up to the panhandle there, the Big Bend. They've got good scallops up there as well. So it's just been a good year.
I was just wondering because you say, "Gee, where do the scallops go after scallop season?"
Yeah, no, there's just not any around. I mean, they're around, but they're in their larval stage is the best way to describe it. They're small, they're buried, and
little sitting on the bottom.
Yeah, and when the water warms up again in the spring, they'll start growing again, and there we go. July we start harvesting. So not a very long life cycle.
It's like greenback sardines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never done the research, but I wonder how long they live. They don't live that long.
No, a lot of baits don't. They're only a year or two, and then that's it. Enough to spawn and continue the cycle. So there's a lot of ocean critters that do that. So it's pretty interesting way of life.
September 1st through the 14th, we get 14 days that you can keep gag grouper and state.
Did you see that finally?
Huh?
Where did you see that?
It came. I got an email today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it says September 1st through the 14th, gag grouper will open up in state and federal waters.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we got some days, not the best days. Prefer it in the cooler months, but it's just a little easier to find them shallower water. But like I said, so far we're going out past, the 9 miles of being federal water, but there's plenty of gags out there. We have no problem catching them or finding them.
Now,
So
how do they, and here's a question that I had years ago, and, there's federal and state, like on hogfish, right?
mhm.
I don't do that much offshore. I'm going to have to
Mhm.
get caught up on it. And some of those, well, how do they know where you caught the fish?
What do where you caught the fish?
Well, if you got federal and state, okay.
Yeah,
All right. Now you're a charter captain. You
right.
don't have federal license, so you can't
Correct.
go and catch them in federal waters, but you can catch them in state water.
Mhm. It's well, I mean, they do have drones out there. They do have planes out there. They do have some boats with binoculars, just kind of watching that, out there around the 9 mile region. They know where you have to eventually come to get in. So, they do their little sneak attacks and pay attention to things. And they're out there, they're watching, and they won't get everybody, obviously. So it's just up to you whether you want to take that chance. I personally don't.
Now,
Just
now
it's
here's
not worth
another,
it.
here's another question, and maybe somebody that's listening in or watching us on YouTube. All right, you're a charter captain, but hey, you want to go out for grouper and snapper and all that, but not on a charter.
Mhm.
And a bunch of your friends go along.
Yeah. Well, again, if it's just for recreational, it's not a for hire vessel, and you're going out there, and we do it all the time. Us captains will just go out with each other, and we'll go catch a few grouper, bring home to eat, and yeah, we'll go past the 9 miles, but it's recreational fishing at that point. As long as you have your reef permit, that you for your fishing license, um, then you go, and it's usually at that point you're going to have your own fishing license for a lot of those people. You can't, as a captain,
No,
cover anybody else that's on
then
your
it
boat.
becomes a charter. So
Yeah,
anybody on your boat, they're going to have their own
correct.
fishing license. But now on this reef license, which is free,
Hmm.
but you got to make sure that everybody on your boat has that attached to their
Correct.
license.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's got to be renewed every year. It's not like I got a lifetime license because I'm over 65, but I still have to renew the reef one every year.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's where their consensus comes in. They find out how many people have signed up for that reef permit, and they kind of take a tabulation of how many people in the state of Florida or out of state have purchased that reef, and then they kind of do an
Oh, it's
average of
free though.
numbers.
You don't buy the reef license. It's
No, I understand, but there are some people who do not, put that in there with the reef license.
right.
Because I mean, there are times even, say you're going up north, well, even right here. I mean, honestly, you could come out here and you can do fishing, but you don't have to go to a reef to catch fish. Not that it doesn't cost you anything not to have it or anything, but at times people just don't put it on there. And I've talked to people who say, yeah, I don't do it. It's just one of those options. So I think
Yeah,
it's
but
just a consensus.
by law, you have to have it if you're fishing offshore.
You're fishing offshore, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're fishing offshore, again, if you're fishing inshore, and you're not going after any species of reef type species, then is it necessary to really have it? And that's the thing I never understood. It's like, okay, why not just incorporate that with that? Why do you give that option?
Yeah.
And my only thought is it is a way just to track census of how many people are actually going out reef fishing. It may be flawed, but maybe that's their whole purpose behind it.
Because every year when I go to renew my regular fishing license for the boat, Then I got to tell the lady, okay, I need the reef one for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they have to give me one because I've got a credit card that says it's good for 40 years or something, way more than I'm ever going to live.
Yeah.
But the thing is, well, it gets confusing, I guess.
Yeah. And the only thing I can, maybe I should ask one of the FWC people that I do know, that maybe I'll ask them that question on that. But the only thing I can, make common sense out of it is the fact that you need some way to track how many people are buying the licenses, obviously for revenue for one, but also to find out how many people are going offshore, how many people are not going offshore. Maybe it has something to do with that, but it just, to me, that's the only thing that makes sense of why they would separate those two licenses. Because I mean, even on the Gulf Coast, there's only a few places where you could go out, other than maybe the Big Bend. You can go out a few miles there and not really hit deep water or reefs. But again, I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah.
Pensacola
You're
area.
right. Off of Mexico Beach and all that, you don't have to go very far.
Yeah.
To get the snapper and everything else.
Right. That's what I say. Pensacola Beach, you're less than a mile off, 3 miles off the shore. You're in 60, 70 foot of water or something like that. You've got reef everywhere.
And so that's state waters. It's not federal waters.
That's state waters there.
Yeah.
But yeah, federal waters, again, I think it's just a consensus to know that, hey, we're going out. So is it just to show that this many people are wanting to go into federal waters for reef fish?
I don't know. I got some questions. Donald and George is taking a leave of absence to take a break for a while. So we got Captain Michael Haynes, and probably going to have somebody else in here pretty soon, to keep the momentum going. But yeah, Captain George is taking a little leave of absence.
Yeah, I'm not as good looking as George, so sorry.
That's right, but you're taller. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do Tony Franklin's fishing report.
Sure.
All right, Captain Tony Franklin back with you once again with this week's fishing report. This week, trout remains the number one top candidate for biting well. The trout, spotted sea trout, the silver trout, all biting real well. Once again, 6 to 8 feet of water. Make sure you got some grassy areas underneath you. That's the biggest key. Located in these same areas, we're catching Spanish mackerel. We're also catching Spanish mackerel around range markers, also around shoals, sandy shoals that lead to deeper water. Also, there's a mangrove snapper around the bridges. They're also around the range markers we talked about. Any kind of rocky formation, so the mangrove snapper bite has really been good. Real small pinfish is working the best for them, or real small sardines. Been some snook around this week, primarily tucked way up under the mangroves, and they have been picky, but we have hooked some this week, but they were kind of touchy this week. There's been a few redfish around, most of them up high under the mangroves. You got to get that bait way up under the mangroves again this week, and that's been the same scenario for the last couple of weeks. There's been bonnethead sharks around, been some black tips around, ladyfish around, so there's decent action. Put some time in, get out on the water, try some different things. Once again, the key is fish early with this heat. So that's my advice for this week. That's my report for this week. Tight lines, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Tony. And
Thanks,
I think
Tony.
the key word there, Mike, was start early.
Start early.
And quit early.
Or late.
Or late.
I had a call Sunday, or actually Saturday evening, for somebody to go out on a charter, kind of a late thing. He says, I know it's late and want to do this and do that. Actually, no, it was Sunday morning. He called. He said, any possibility to go out? And I said, well, it's kind of past the time to go out, but if you don't mind, you can do an afternoon charter. And yeah, the afternoon definitely does better than during the middle of the day. And they definitely, they caught some fish, some redfish, some snook. But yeah, it's either early or late. And the late one, you're just going to have to take a chance with the afternoon thunderstorms. That's why you try to get out there early at daybreak. And I do know that early morning topwater redfish bite has been pretty good We got one of our guys in my group here that has been posting quite regularly, catching some redfish on topwater. So but he's out there daybreak. He's out there before the sun comes up and just starts casting, and he's doing pretty good.
But it's got to be early.
It's got to be early, and it's usually what I'll try to do is get out there by daybreak and be done by 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, most of the time I don't do a full day charter in the summertime just because it's just so hot, and you don't want people out there falling out in heat stroke or anything else like that, and coming back to the dock just so burnt.
And what scares me about the afternoon ones is that you get some of these storms. I tell you, they've been coming around my house here in Wesley Chapel. They've been pretty intense. We had some last week, 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds.
Mm-hmm.
And you get caught out there in the bay, that thing comes up on you pretty quick. You could be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And the problem with us here is when those storms come in and you've got a bunch of people out there scalloping or fishing, the storm comes up and everybody comes in at once. And it is just a free for all to get up the river and get to the boat ramp, get in your vehicle, or, get to some protection. And people are running full throttle, through the no wake zones, which I get it. There are times when it's life threatening or whatever, you got to do what you have to do. But, if you see a storm out there, just think ahead a little bit, and because it is a free for all. And I've been in one of those where, I've got a 19-foot flats boat, and, you got people with 24s, 26 boat, size boats, and they're coming through making these massive wakes, and you're trying to run away from the storm, and you can't run because the water's so churned up and there's so many boats. It's a little hectic. It's a little scary. So yeah, you got to pay attention.
And that's but I remember the way the pattern used to be. You always got rain 3:30 to 4:30, 5 o'clock. You could go out at 6 o'clock at night this time of the year, and it'd be beautiful at night. Clear skies, the wind would die down. It was really good fishing. But now, man, this weather pattern is completely changed from what it used to be. It's all over the place. It's nothing you can put your finger on.
No, I remember as a kid getting off of work at 5 o'clock or so and going home during rush hour, and you're going to get rained on. I mean, it was just, you could almost set your watch by it. And nowadays it just doesn't happen anymore. It just comes and goes as it pleases. And I don't know if it's, just the fact that we've got more people around, whether climate is changing just because we've got more development, less trees. I don't know. It's one of those things we'll never know until it's too late, unfortunately.
When you think about it, Mike, I mean, it's you look at like around the Gandy area, just 15 years ago, that was all mangroves, everything. Now, the last 15, 20 years, the West Shore Yacht Club, then you got all these new condominiums and apartments that they've opened up close to the boat ramp and everything else. I mean, all that concentration of stuff. I mean, it's got to have an effect.
Yeah.
They call Chicago the Windy City. And it's not because there's a lot of wind in Chicago. It's because of the buildings that are causing all the wind, the updrafts. But still, that's got to affect, around the area. It's got to affect it somehow.
It does. And yeah, that's one thing that I think it's a topic that's starting to come up. And whenever people talk about, climate change or anything else like that, I have to really wonder, and I've done a little research on, I think the biggest problem that we have, especially in Florida, is development. Development is really the one thing that's really killing our environment. More than oil, natural gas, all these things, the coal, all these things that they keep your focus on. But nobody seems to be focused on development and paying attention to what we're destroying and how much trees and everything else, the natural environment we're destroying. To me, that would be a bigger cause of climate change than it would anything else. When you take away a whole forest of trees and put a bunch of houses with hot roofs and driveways and asphalt, that to me makes more sense than it does carbon dioxide, because the trees are supposed to remove carbon dioxide, and you remove the trees, well, then of course the carbon's going to go up. to me, it makes more sense. And there's one thing, and I may get in trouble for this, for saying it, but I did a little research on some of the FWC presidents, CEOs, however you want to say it, whoever's in charge, and 60% are developers. That's a problem.
Are they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they have their hands or businesses in certain types of development all over Florida, and to me, that's a conflict of interest. If you're a wildlife, conservation of the wildlife, but yet your directors are heavy into development, that's a big conflict of interest to me. And nobody seems to really be talking about it, and I don't know why. I just, it's something that doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, you're right. It doesn't. But I think you hit the thing in the nail. It's not just, they're talking about global warming. Well, global warming, I tell you, when you go to an area that used to be all woods and mangroves and stuff, and all of a sudden there's houses and, like you say, asphalt roads and concrete roads and this and that. You got rid of what took in the bad stuff. You got rid of that. Then you added all this stuff that's generating heat, making all this heat come up. That's part of the problem right there.
Yeah, and the natural runoff that would get filtered through trees or grasslands or whatever else,
It goes into the water.
goes right into the water, which then destroys the water, which also heats up the water. You've got a rainstorm that's hitting on this hot asphalt. It's hundreds of degrees, goes into the storm drains, and you got basically this warm bath water dumping into the ocean, warming that up even more. I think that the focus needs to be more on development, and than it really does on, obviously gas, natural oil, all, natural gas, oils, all that, plastics. They're all an issue, but I think our focus has completely been off one of the biggest devastations of Florida, and its development.
And we're getting so many people, us, Georgia, and Texas, I guess, are the three growing where everybody leaves California going to Texas or Florida.
Mm-hmm.
For God's sake,
Yeah.
stay over there. New Jersey, I guess, and New York, a lot of them are going into Georgia, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, God. Now,
Yeah.
listen to this. Donald says, as of right now, not one tag redfish has been landed by a registered star angler.
Yeah. I noticed that, and I wish I was able to be involved in that, because, but yeah, it's it's kind of surprising so far that nobody has caught that redfish yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Mike, if you look at it, the last couple of years, I haven't seen a lot of going out to the public, so to speak, making people aware of the star tournament.
Yeah.
You see it in some magazines. We promote it and stuff like that on the TV, but I don't see a concentrated effort. And then I think my opinion, everybody, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but
When
you're already on social media, so.
That's right. But when it was tag redfish, you concentrated on a species.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was, then they started with, they added this and they added that. Then they added offshore species. Then they added this. And now it's not what it started out to be.
No.
It's so spread out that maybe it lost some of its impact.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I know that it's around here, because they have a couple, they have the banquet, Star Banquet, and then they have the CCA here, and they talk about it as well. But it's kind of known here. But you're right, I haven't seen a whole lot of promotion for it. There's some on social media I see here and there, but even on TV, normally there was some advertising for it in some of the fishing shows and places that was there. I just don't see it as much as you did in the past. Of course, there's not as many magazines out there that people read. Everything is online now for the most part. So it may just be a trend where that's where it's going, and we're just not seeing it as much where we normally saw that. And
Well,
it's
see,
just
Donald
going
said
to
they
different
they
places.
wanted a wide range of anglers involved, according to Lisa. Well, the thing is, maybe they just spread it out so much that everybody lost interest.
Yeah, I mean, how many other species are we talking now?
Oh, they got stuff out for mahi mahi, I think, don't they, Donald? They got grouper. They got, I mean, they got ways to win stuff, although it's not a tagged redfish. I mean, it
Right.
started as a tagged redfish.
Yeah,
And that was the thing. Man, you went out there, you were trying to get that tagged redfish. You had a lot of people going after those, trying to get it. And,
Oh, yeah.
and then, and then they started this thing about, oh, every time you pick up so many bags of trash, you got a chance to win something.
Mhm.
And I just think, I don't know. I just get this gut feeling that I think it was great what it did,
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we need to put a call in Lisa and see what she thinks. I don't know. See where
I know they
where
got
it's
a lot
going.
more money because I went to the Pinellas County and I went to the Tampa chapter of
Mhm.
the CCA banquet,
Yeah,
and I spent a lot of money in both of them.
yeah,
But
yeah. I'm gonna put a phone call in and just see where it's going and see where the advertising is, and see if there is a loss, a little bit of a loss of interest for it. I just don't know.
we'll find out.
Unfortunately, we're not us as captains aren't as involved in it as anymore because we're not able to. So,
Well,
but yeah,
let's get Michael Dawson in before
sure.
we run out of time.
Hey guys, Captain Michael Dawson here. Patriot Guides is here with this week's fishing report and forecast. So it's getting really hot out there. I mean, as most of you can probably tell right now, the temperatures are unbelievably high out there. With these high temperatures, it's very important to get out there super early in the morning, late evening, or even go out at nighttime. Besides those trips, there's lots of scalloping going on right now. It's a great time of year to get in the water and go scalloping. These high temperatures, middle of the day, it's not great being out in the water in the middle of the day. So it's a great time to go do some scalloping. Plenty of scallops to be found anywhere in front of the Anclote River, Gulf Harbors, Cody River, Hudson. Seems the further north you run this year, the cleaner the water is getting. So I recommend running north, getting some clean water, and you'll do great on the scallops. Back to fishing, the redfish bite is really good. The snook bite is still decent. Still plenty of fish to be caught. If you can bear the heat out there, it is a great time to be out there and go catch some fish. Redfish schools are starting to get thicker and thicker. The more fresh water hits the system with this rain, the better that redfish is going to get. Cut bait on the bottom is key this time of year. Yesterday morning, it was 91 degrees at 7 a.m. for a water temperature, which is cooking. So cut bait on the bottom. They don't want to exert a lot of energy, and you should get a couple of redfish. Again, the early morning, late evening has been a little bit better. Even some nighttime trips have been producing some really nice fish. It should begin the time of year we start fishing some bridges in Tampa Bay for the big black drums, and they're a big option for you guys. But get out there. It is fun. It is hot. I would say if you want to go out there, go fishing early morning. Once you get to about 10, 11 o'clock, go do a couple hours of scalloping. Have a nice box full of redfish, trout, snapper, and get some scallops. And you should have a good box to come home with. You can even catch all the fish and let them go and keep a bunch of scallops. It's a great time out there. Captain Michael Dawson, Patriotic Guide Service.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
He's always out there, man. But
Yeah, he is.
the biggest thing with me is, I tell you what, it's like today. God, man, with no T-top, I'm used to that T-top. Not
Mhm.
having any shade, it was a killer. It must have been
Yeah,
over
well,
100 degrees today.
yeah, welcome to my world. Yeah, and that's if I do a charter for redfish in the morning and we do a little scalloping in the afternoon type thing. I actually bring me one of those pop-up umbrellas and put it in a rod holder, and I just happen to have one that's real close to my console, so it helps me tremendously out there because it is brutal just to be beat down on that sun. But yeah, when you have a boat with no T-top, that open deck, it's just part of the fishing charter business out there.
And well, let me put it this way. I was miserable today. And so was Hota
Yeah.
trying to film. It was just unbearable, man. It was
Yeah.
just, and then I get home and it said it was over 100 degrees out in the water today.
Yeah.
And I believed it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why a friend of mine, she just got her new boat in this weekend. We were doing a little test run with it, getting it broke in, and that was one of her demands is for them to put a T-top on the thing. And it's a shallow water running boat, but it's a big boat, and she definitely needed that T-top, and it was worth it because we were out there just kind of running around, giving people rides and stuff like that. And yeah, to get underneath that T-top was a break from out there. There's one little bridge that we come under when we go through Salt River coming back, and it's a long no wake zone. You know, you're driving, you got that wind going, it's pretty good. Well, about the time you hit Salt River with a no wake zone, the wind is going in the same direction you are, and you are sweltering because you have no relief from the heat. And you get under this little bridge, and for like 2 seconds, you feel the coolness underneath that shade. It's like, oh. It doesn't take too long, but yeah, it's just brutal. And
When I was working, I worked on the yard this weekend, and I can tell you, you come out of the house and go to the garage, and it's like opening the door to an oven.
Mm-hmm.
The humidity is what's bad. It's
Yeah.
not, you can tolerate the heat. You know, you go to Vegas, it's 110 degrees, but you don't sweat.
No, but you can't get in the shade and get cool either.
No, right.
I've been there in the
here-
summer. It's brutal in the summer too.
Over here, you're trying to breathe, and it's like you're trying to breathe hot air coming out of an oven, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so what's your expectation for Crystal River for next week? Because we're almost right there at the end.
Well, we're gonna get out there and go for some more of the reds out there this week. There's been some decent schools still in the flats. Again, you're looking for mullet. You're looking for those areas where you got some activity. But one thing I do notice is that you're looking for mullet that just aren't on the surface, but also down below, because the mullet can, do a little air breathing and get that oxygen. But finding those mullet that are a little down there feeding seems to be the trick in finding where the fish are and where they're biting. And sometimes you have to go from the outer islands in just a little bit to locate that little cooler water, the little more oxygenated water. So, and these schools, unfortunately, they move around. I mean, we found schools of 30 to 50 in places, but you got to hunt for them, and you could spend 30, 45 minutes up to an hour at times just kind of slowly cruising around looking for the right schools of mullet that are in both upper part of the water column and lower, and then you're going to find the bites. So and then I think we're going to go scalloping on Saturday. I haven't been scalloping in over a week or so we'll see how it is. But like I said, everything seems to be fine out there. People still getting their limits, but doing good. So
we'll get us some pictures. Get us some pictures.
I will. Yeah, we'll have some pictures. We'll have all that. Like I said, I just wasn't on the water this week, so this
and don't forget to start saving those scallop shells for the kids for next year.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there'll be plenty around. That's a easy thing. Just kind of take some of those shells and throw them in an ant pile, and after a while, spray the ant pile down. You got cleaned off shells. It's real easy.
All right, so I guess we're out of time, Mike.
Yeah.
And we want to thank everybody for tuning in, Florida West Coast Fishing Report, and then also see all our videos on YouTube, Fishing Adventures Florida, or you can go to Waypoint TV, Carbon TV, or Action TV. We're on all 3 stations, and a new station that's coming up pretty soon. They're just putting everything together. We're going to be on that station, and then of course YouTube. So we want to thank you, and Mike thanks you for tuning in. Tell all your friends about us, and spread the word about Fishing Adventures Florida on YouTube.
Hit that like and subscribe button, everybody.
Right.
And and we're going to be broadcasting this every week as well on the group we have up here, Fishing Crystal River. So we're just about everywhere. You can find us pretty easily. So like and subscribe, and we'll give you the latest on the fishing. And we'll have new captains for new reports here coming soon.
Oh yeah, we're going to be expanding our market coverage for Fishing Reports. So we're trying to get everybody involved. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Take care,
have a good one. Thank you.